Hey everyone, it's 2019, Happy New Year. I wanted to use this time as an opportunity to reflect on some of the milestones reached in 2018 and what I'm looking forward to in 2019 for the Tezos project. Well, the first few months of 2018 were very turbulent times, and I'm so glad that the Tezos community was able to get together and put those times behind the project. That was tremendously positive, obviously, for the project. And Tezos launched as a betanet in June of 2018, then as a mainnet in September, and it's been operating since then. But beyond the network itself, I think the growth of the community has been extremely important. Tezos went from being originally a hobby project developed by a few people to now being a large open source project with contributors all across the world. There's dozens of developers working on Tezos, university programs involved with Tezos, research grants around Tezos. So all the ecosystem around the Tezos project and the Tezos research has been growing, and it's a really beautiful thing to see. There's also the growing of the baking community. So baking, the block creation in Tezos and block validation went from just a couple people in the test nets. I think even back in May it was just a handful of people to over 450 bakers today, making in that metric Tezos one of the most decentralized projects out there. And I think that's extremely important for the safety of the network. The entire point of building this blockchain is to have the power of this decentralization to protect the ledger. And I also think it puts Tezos really at the forefront of a large movement to proof of stake. Like really, I think there's this wave of projects coming around the corner with proof of stake, or who are migrating to proof of stake. Like Ethereum has been talking for a long time about making this move, and they're doing really cool research in the domain, Polkadot, Cosmos, just to name a few. So these projects are moving to proof of stake, and I think that I'm very proud that Tezos is able to pave the way towards proof of stake. But at the same time, I also don't think that it's a good idea for the network to rest on its laurels. And there are several ideas that have come out of different research groups for proof of stake. And I'm looking forward to some of these ideas making their way into the Tezos protocol. It's always good to remember that the entire point of Tezos, the entire point of the technology, is the ability to seamlessly upgrade the algorithm. It comes from an observation that this is a space where the research is moving fast, where people are discovering new ways of reaching consensus, new ways of achieving privacy on the chain, new ways of executing smart contracts. And in order to benefit from all of these innovations, you need a way to seamlessly move, to make the upgrade possible, but at the same time to protect them, to have the protection of the community and the different stakeholders of the project in place. So here's what I would be excited about and would love to see in 2019. There are roughly 3 legs, I would say, to Tezos, and 3 reasons that different people have approached the project. One of this leg I've just went over is proof of stake. Being one of the major proof of stake network, I think, and being at the forefront of the project is a very important thing for Tezos. But there are 2 others. One is smart contracts and the uniqueness of the Michelson smart contract language. I'll talk more about that. But probably the biggest one, the most important, is the self-amending aspect. Tezos is a self-amending ledger, which means that it has a possibility of upgrading itself. And much is made sometimes of the governance, but really governance is a way of enabling this self-amendment. And if you look at what it takes from a technological standpoint in Tezos, most of the technology is really about enabling the self-amendments. The governance technology gets better once you start incorporating ideas from constitutionalism. But for now, it's really about self-amendment. And so I would love to see self-amendment at play in 2019. And there's no shortage of interesting ideas to incorporate into Tezos. So in particular, there are interesting ideas around finality for proof-of-stake algorithms, and in particular being resistant to weakly synchronous networks as opposed to synchronous network. So these ideas, you can see them in Tendermint, for example, a consensus algorithm using Cosmos, and incorporating some of the ideas of Tendermint inside of the consensus algorithm for Tezos strikes me as an interesting idea and something that probably should be explored. Another improvement that I've been excited about is the introduction of zk-snarks. So zk-snarks are a cryptographic construct that is used in particular by the Zcash project in order to build transactions which can protect people's privacy. And so there are bindings to the Zcash library in Tezos, and so putting those bindings to use and actually integrating private transaction inside Tezos strikes me also as probably a worthwhile endeavor in terms of moving the protocol forward. But it's also the small things. There are really small things about the Tezos protocol that I think can make a big difference. So one of them is mempool management. So you're making small changes to who pays the fees and how the fees are paid and how transactions get accepted to the mempool can get you a 3 times speed up on transaction capacity. And it's a simple thing, but you want to get to the point where when a node receives a transaction, they don't have to actually place the transaction. All they have to do is very cheaply check if the fees can be paid, and if the fees can be paid, you just put it in a block. You don't have to reason about the effect of a transaction in order to decide if you want to propagate the transaction or include the transaction. So that, I think, is it's a small thing, but that can have big consequences. The other one is improvement of the storage layer. So right now, the context in Tezos takes snapshots of every state that has ever been visited by the blockchain. So right now it's pretty big. It's in like something like 50 gigs. And to give you to give you some perspective, the equivalent data structure in Ethereum is a terabyte. However, this is not an important data structure. This is not a data structure that you need to keep. You need to keep enough states in the past so that you can deal with reorganization, and even fewer if you have any kind of finality or probabilistic finality, but you don't need to carry the entire trace of all possible states. And so Tezos is coming up with some garbage collection, which should be helpful, can probably cut down the states to something like 10 gigabytes. But I would like to see further reduction of the state size. And I think there are interesting ideas here. Why does it matter? Well, ideally, you want your state size to be able to fit in RAM. Because if your entire state can fit in your RAM as opposed to fit in your disk, then all of a sudden you can process a whole lot more transaction because you don't have to hit your hard drive every time you have a transaction. So that might be something worthwhile. Another interesting but kind of sci-fi idea would be to distinguish 2 kinds of storage on the Tezos blockchain, a slow storage and a fast storage. You can pay more for the fast storage, and the fast storage is kept in RAM, has a lower gas cost to access, whereas the more cheaper storage has a higher gas cost to access. So there's different models that can be explored here, but really in general, what you're trying to achieve is you're trying to match the cost of the transaction with the actual cost of operating a node. Like, what does it actually represent as a computational cost to verify the chain? So these are just a few ideas that I would be very exciting to see. But beyond the technology behind the core protocol, there's also a lot of valuable things that can happen at the tooling layer. So this goes to the smart contract, which is the third angle, which is the third leg. So I think Mikkelsen is a solid base, but we want to see more languages. Languages like Liquidity or Phi or Juvix. There are different languages being on Tezos. So seeing more languages being built, but also integrating them, having good development environments and testing environments for deploying efficient contracts on the blockchain. Beyond development environment, I think verification is an important part of tooling. So one of the benefits of Mikkelsen is that you can write a useful program in about 5 to 10 lines of Mikkelsen, and you can read it and you can understand what it does. And that's valuable, and you have this property in Bitcoin as well. You don't really have it in smart contract languages which are built on a VM, like Ethereum, for example, where if you look at EVM code, you're not really going to get what's, it's hard to see what's going on. But that's human verification. Formal verification, in particular automated verification is particularly interesting. And it's not something that comes just like for free, just out of Michelson, but Michelson is designed in a way that you can make it easier, and in a way that even languages built on top of Michelson can inherit this property. However, those tools do need to exist, and there's different initiatives around this. There's one around a Coq embedding of a Michelson, but seeing more of this tooling, I think, will be an important driver to really fully realize the potential of Michelson. So that's one of the things I would be excited to see. This overall direction makes me proud and excited to be part of this project and of the Tezos community, and I hope you will share my excitement in 2019. Thanks for watching. I'll be back soon. If you want to get notified when there's a new video, click subscribe and hit the little bell icon on the side. Thank you.